How's it going, everyone? I'm the one and only 𝙀𝙓𝙋𝘼𝙉𝘿. Welcome back to a new video, and in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the Saboteur, the new reworked Saboteur, and specifically taking a look at and theory crafting some ideas for some ways to build around the new Saboteur ascendancy with the reworked, I should say, not new, but the reworked Saboteur ascendancy, specifically focusing on trigger bots and things around triggered skills. Taking a look at that. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be theory crafting, giving you guys some build inspiration, and let me know down in the comments below after, you've watched the video, or if during at any point you have some inspiration, some flashes. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Let me know what you're thinking about, and I'd love to just try and inspire some builds and, and get some inspiration from you guys. Let's continue to work this out, because I feel like this is going to produce some really, really, really cool interactions, and I want to be on the front lines of the build science of this. But yeah, so yeah, if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like. I really appreciate it. Help the channel grow and continue to support. Thank you so much for everybody that has already. I really appreciate it. Let's continue to push towards 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year. That is my current goal. Thank you all so much for watching. So anyway, let's dive in and talk about it. Now, I do want to preface, this is not league start discussion. This is not league start discussion. As you can see, this is a level 100 character. I'm theory crafting some like ice shenanigans. I named this particular POB 𝙀𝙓𝙋𝘼𝙉𝘿 Sabo stuff. I'm just playing around with different ideas though. This is not necessarily locked in that I'm going to be using 𝙀𝙬𝙉𝙉. I was just playing with the numbers. But this is going to be just me kind of talking about some of the cool interactions and the way that I plan on doing some like testing and stuff and seeing how Saboteur works. I'm basically going to, for my second or third build, it's probably going to be second build of the league, to be totally honest with you. I'm going to play the 𝙀𝙓𝙋𝘼𝙉𝙉 that I put out a video for yesterday. If you're interested in that, go check it out. And I'll be streaming that live on League Start on Friday, so come check it out over on Twitch. I have a Twitch channel now, so you can go over there and follow that if you're interested in watching a Twitch live stream for the 𝙀𝙓𝙋𝘼𝙉𝙉 thing, or this for the Saboteur, experiments eventually. But let's just talk about it. Enough preamble. So Saboteur. The way that you're going to be playing this particular style of Saboteur is going to be, ignoring all of the trap nodes. Basically, I'm going to be playing a non-trap Saboteur. Specifically taking a look at Perfect Crime, which gives you the triggers level 20, summon trigger bots when allocated, which provides basically 2 bots that look like summon skitter bots, but essentially you have 2 of them, and when you trigger any kind of triggered spell or skill, or it says triggered spells, sorry. When you do a triggered spell, it produces 2 of that particular triggered spell. So think like Cast on Crit Ice Nova, for instance. Cast on Crit Ice Nova. Both of the bots, every time you do a Ice Nova, it's going to pulse twice. Every time you do Ice Spears, that's what they showed off in the trailer. And give me 1 second, I'll pull that up. I'll just cut to it in 1 second. Yeah, so something like this, something like here. You watch in just a second, it should show it off. Yeah, right here. You can kind of see it. You'll be able to see it better in a second. Yeah, this is the cooldown recovery rate node they were talking about, so they just wanted to show that off. And then they were also talking about how the cooldown recovery, we'll talk about it in a second. Here we go. Here's where they're going to show the trigger bots off. The entire purpose behind my wanting to do all these experiments. Just watch this. See that? He's triggering Ice Nova and Ice Spears, and just watch. 2 of them, 2 sources. Ice Spears, Ice Spears, Ice Spears, Ice Novas. Oh, it just looks so fun, so interesting. I want to play around with it. This is why I was doing a 𝙀𝙓𝙋𝘼𝙉𝙉 thing initially, and I was just really wanting to play with it, try to like start theory crafting it out. So this is what I'm going to be looking at, doing some stuff like this. Kind of doing, I mean, similar to what they're doing. But yeah, I'll keep toying with the ideas. Let me swap back now to Path of Building. And yeah. So yeah, these are the ideas that I had. Basically, so you run trigger bots. You probably don't start this initially, to be totally honest with you. I mean, you feasibly could, but you're going to have a hard time. I mean, if you really want to, and I might, whilst leveling, you could do some cast while channeling stuff to potentially level this, and you'll have some gear, obviously, because like I said, this is meant to be a second or third build of the league style like thing. You never really league start triggered skill builds. They require way too much investment. So yeah, you're gonna run like in the order of things. Once you actually go to get the ascendancy, it's probably potentially something like you might even have to spec like explosives expert just to have some extra damage, and then maybe like clockwork to get some cooldown recovery rate, and then potentially, I mean, for your second ascendancy, by that point you can probably go ahead and start running perfect crime, then like clockwork, and then you might respec out of explosives expert to get born in shadows for the defensive, and then bomb specialist is one that I think I'm going to be running, because you have specifically on something like this where you have ice spears, for instance, and you're triggering 2 sets of ice spears off of 2 different bots and frost novas and stuff. You're going to be doing a lot of hits. And so even though this node only says 20% chance to deal 50% more damage, keep that wording in mind, that is still a 20% chance to deal double damage, essentially. 50% more is like a double damage multiplier. For those that don't know, 50% more is equivalent to 100% increased, unless my information and math is just totally wrong. I could be. Please correct me in the comments if I got that wrong. But if I'm not mistaken, 50% more is equivalent to like 100% increased. It's a doubling of your damage. So to deal 50% more area damage, even on 1 out of every 5 hits, if you're triggering, if you're triggering 10, 12 ice spears every like half a second, so you're doing like 24, 30 hits every second, like that's still, 6, 7, 8%, or 6, 7, 8 hits out of 30 are dealing 50% more damage, dealing double damage. If you saw this node said 20% chance to deal double damage, you would just, like, everybody would just run this, like, no matter what. And if it was 20% chance to take half damage, people might also just take it all the time. I don't know. I guess they just wanted to word it differently so that they know that it's about area damage and area special stuff. I don't know. It's gonna need some experimentation, but I feel like bomb specialist is just gonna be really like potentially powerful spiky hits. If you want the consistent damage, you probably just go explosives expert. But as you can see, especially if you're running the 𝙀𝙓𝙋𝘼𝙉 style, ice style stuff, you're only getting 10% LE pin. 10% LE pin is good. That is a lot of damage consistently. But when this procs, you're going to be getting, like I said, it's like near doubling your damage, essentially. So it's probably better to try and run bomb specialist if you can sustain it once you get to a certain point. But this will still be your uber lab for sure, because it is spiky and makes your damage curve do this. So you're just kind of woo, rises and valleys. But anyway, this is the current POB. I'll just like zoom out and show you if you want to like hover it for a second, take a screenshot. I'm not going to be linking this POB because this is not done. This was just my, like, I slapped this together in like 30 minutes, 45 minutes before making this. Kind of like preamble, like brain scrambling, basically. I just wanted something on paper to show the ice version of this. And yeah, now, like, this is just my thoughts. This is like potentially running double 𝙀𝙬𝙉. You probably don't ever run double 𝙀𝙬𝙉. You probably just run 1 𝙀𝙬𝙉, a shield. You're almost guaranteed going to need a devouring diadem to sustain all the auras and stuff that you're going to want, as well as that way you can have free Eldritch Battery to sustain yourself. And with this current tree that I'm kind of theory crafting, you have a lot of energy shield and stuff, so it kind of works out. But again, I'll play around with this in the second build of the league for sure more. Let's talk about the more interesting stuff. Let's talk about skills, things that I have thought about that are going to be really, really cool, things that focus specifically on trigger bots and just the cool interactions behind trigger bots. Let's talk about something like 𝙀�ッ, for instance. Literally, if you look at this node and it says, oh, they do 35% less damage with triggered spells, you might think about it and be like, oh, that's kind of bad, isn't it? No. This is something where people kind of tend to get the wrong like thought process. 35% less damage with triggered spells, but you're triggering them an additional time from, 2 separate sources, is basically equivalent to 30% more damage, right? It's not like you're dealing, I'm dealing 70% less damage because it's triggering from 2 places. You are dealing 30% more damage because you are getting these 2 things, and that's just a spitball number, but you're dealing a lot more damage because you have this extra source. Every time you cast an 𝙀𝙃, you are getting 𝙀𝙃 from 2 sources. Every time you cast Ice Spear, you're getting it from 2 places. 𝙀𝙃, I think, will be a really, really interesting one from this because now my one thing that I'm curious about is, and I think they did specify, I think anytime you trigger a skill, it will trigger from the bots. It will never trigger from yourself. If there's some ways to like play around with that, that's my like theory. My brain immediately runs to, can you get like a triple 𝙀𝙃? Can you get like a triple proccing of things? Probably not. This probably supersedes you being a triggerable source, essentially, if that makes sense. You probably won't be able to trigger abilities off yourself, but you can trigger 2 from the bots, which is still really cool. I think 𝙀𝙃 will be a good one for this. I think Ice Spear and Ice Nova and stuff like that will be really cool. I think there's a potential, and this is something after my own heart, is Volatile Dead. I really, really, really love Volatile Dead, and I love doing triggered Volatile Dead builds. And I've never gotten one that could really work, that could actually like function and be a like actually decent build. I feel like I want to try it on this. I think it will run up against the problem of the 60 ball limit. I think that's something that might be something of an issue for this. You'll probably run into the 60 ball limit really, really fast, but I still want to experiment with it. I still want to play around with it, and I want to just try these things out. I want to try, there's a new triggerable skill. I forgot what it's called. I think it's Elemental Surge, and it's that one that changes based off of how much of a given stat you have. So off of given, like if you have like strength, it scales more towards fire. If you have more dex, it goes more towards lightning. If you have more int, it goes more towards cold. I might have those 2 reversed, but cold and lightning might be reversed. But anyway, it's that skill. I'm interested in trying it out, seeing how it looks, seeing how it works. I mean, there could be some interesting potential for discharge triggering and just trying discharge out on that and some other stuff. Like, there's a lot of really, really interesting triggerable skills to play around with. And I feel like there might even be some that people don't often think about, right? Like you might, I don't know, trigger what's the like, you might trigger, double Wave of Conviction, you might trigger Holy Nova, you might trigger some kind of like, just some of these like skills that normally people don't think about, but because it is coming from 2 separate sources, it leaves room for a lot of experimentation. And so I'm just really excited to try it. I think that's all I have for you guys today. This was just meant to be a, like I said, a inspiration, a like, start thinking about it, start theory crafting. I'd love to hear from you in the comments below what your thoughts on some builds are, what your thoughts are on what abilities will just be killer with this, will just be great with this. Let me know what you're thinking. I'd love to hear from you. If I enjoy your comment, I'll give it a heart. And yeah, once again, if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like. I'd really appreciate it. Help the channel continue to grow and, flourish. Thank you all so much for the support that I've received of late. And let's keep pushing towards 1,000 subscribers. I'm trying to get there before the end of the year, and I would really appreciate your help. Thank you all so much. I hope you all enjoyed. I hope you all have a great day, and I'll see you for a new video tomorrow.